I'm just going to be honest with you. When I laid down in bed last night, every part of me hurt. And that may or may not have, but definitely was at 8:30 at night. That's how old I am now. I'm going to bed at 8:30. I did, just for the sake of full disclosure, I did wake up about 10 till 2 and couldn't go back to sleep. So you're dealing with someone who's running on empty. And so I appreciate you bearing with me. I'm so grateful. We made it to the last day. This is going to be, even though it's a shortened day, it is an important day. Because today is where we want to kind of bring things all together. We talked about customizable training and economic development on Monday, and we delved into the horizon thinking on Tuesday. Yesterday we talked a lot about our workforce triage and what triage, at least in my definition, hopefully yours shared with me, what triage really means. And today is the day where we want to kind of think through, before we leave this place, think through how all of those things play together and the role that each of us plays in tying those strands together. So you will hear me say this now. You'll also hear me say this before we conclude today, that you do have that homework assignment. You have a responsibility that I am throwing at you to be a teammate with me in making sure that we don't leave this place without recognizing that we hold fast to one another, we bind our shields together, and we are constantly looking for people on our right and on our left to improve their lives. Constantly asking ourselves, what can I do right now, right here, to improve the lives of the people here and here, because they matter greatly to us. So, you've heard a lot of information this week. You've probably got sensory overload. I've always said that if you're drinking from a fire hose, it's okay as long as it tastes good. I hope the information has tasted good this week. It has for me. This has been an unbelievable experience to listen and learn and to hear and get feedback, suggestions. Well, we've had some unbelievable suggestions as to ways to make this a better event next year, but not even that, ways in which we can stay in touch and stay in contact with one another throughout the year, so that when we come back here, we have a way of measuring. How did we do? How successful were we in supporting one another? How successful were we in our horizon thinking, our triage support? Where did we see wins and successes in the economic development world? So I hope you will join me as we continue this conversation even from today. I do want to take the opportunity in getting started to first thank our sponsors yet again. They have been a huge partner to accelerate and even bringing this event to fruition, and we are certainly grateful to FWD.US, MEC, PIP Marketing, Trace Advisory Group, Huntington Ingalls, MEDC, Rankin First, Transfer VR, MDOC Works, Mississippi Manufacturers Association, the Skills Foundation, and the University of Southern Mississippi. I cannot thank you enough, and please join me in giving them a round of applause for helping us to make this an event possible. I also want to take the opportunity to thank my team, our team at Accelerate. We have our fine folks sitting down here to my left, y'all's right. I am so grateful for their dedication. This is no small task to put on an event like this, logistically, even subject matter-wise. I cannot thank you all enough for the hard work that you have poured into this event and all that you do every day to try to make Accelerate Mississippi better for the state of Mississippi. And so I thank our coordinators, I thank our programs managers. I want to thank especially Marianne Myers, who's standing in the back, who told me not to do that, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to put him on spot just for a moment. Dr. Keenum is in the back of the room and will be taking the stage here momentarily, and we are honored to have him here, but he has a homework assignment before he leaves this event today. He didn't know this, and I'm so sorry to put you on the spot. But Marianne Myers, to my knowledge, is the biggest Mississippi State fan of all time, and she wants to get a picture with you before you leave because she loves you dearly. So make sure that happens. And look, as I say, I'm a rebel guy, but I can say Hail State because that man is a visionary. He is a great ambassador to the state of Mississippi, and we're excited to have him join us. So as we bring everything together today, and we are talking and learning more about how we can support one another, standing shoulder to shoulder, bringing those shields together, I want you to remember from the bottom of my heart how grateful I am for you to give up your time, your resources, your attention for the last 4 days. That's no small thing. I don't take it lightly, and I cannot thank you enough. This has been a blessing to me, even having conversations in the hallway, especially even after breaking down slightly, being emotional yesterday morning, talking about what serving one another looks like, being a selfless, servant-hearted individual, trying to strive for that. I can't tell you how much of a blessing it was. People coming up, praying for me, praying with me. Praying for y'all. In fact, I had a few people says, I've written down names of people in this room in my prayer book so as to make sure they feel encouraged as they leave this place. That to me has been the greatest highlight of this event. There is no doubt that the industries represented in this room have brought great material, great content. There's no doubt that the teachers and career coaches in this room have brought great enthusiasm and energy. Our community college partners, I cannot thank you enough for the work that you continue to do. You have brought great energy, great context, great information for us to digest and to think about. I cannot thank you enough for our state partners, state agencies and organizations that recognize their role in rolling up their sleeves and making workforce development healthier in the state of Mississippi. I cannot thank you enough to you nonprofits and philanthropists here who, out of the goodness of your heart and a desire to help people and make their lives better, that you would be a part of this conversation. But more than that, the encouragement that I have seen and heard and been privy to, just hearing you encourage one another has been an amazing blessing to me, and so I thank you for that. At this time, I'm going to ask one of my friends and colleagues, Spence Flatguard, who's an attorney with Watkins Eager, who also happens to be a very, very devoted Mississippi State Bulldog, to come forward and to introduce our keynote speaker for this morning. Before he takes the stage, however, I also have to admit, Spence is an elder at my church, and I believe will be leading us through Ecclesiastes this morning before. So I'm just going to tell you, buckle up, because that book, there's some heavy stuff in there before President Keenum takes the stage. But Spence, thank you for being here and participating. We're grateful.
Thanks, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. You're a really good MC. I think if Ryan Seacrest ever needs a sabbatical, you could step into his roles without any problem. And what a great conference, and your team is wonderful. And Ryan, you've been a great leader. It's been an inspiring conference. Let's hear it for Ryan and his great team at Accelerate. What a treat to introduce my friend and my president, Dr. Mark Keenum. I'm a Bulldog, as Ryan said, and I see a number of other Bulldogs here today in the crowd. It's fun to be here and have him with us. I first met Mark 30 years ago. Senator Wicker spoke to us Tuesday. Well, I was on Senator Wicker's first campaign staff in Tupelo when he first ran for the House and filled Jamie Witten's seat. And so Mark's wife was on that campaign, Rhonda, and I don't know if you know her, but she's a force of nature. She's something else. And so we campaigned, and when you're on a campaign, it's an intense time. You become friends for life. And, of course, Congressman Wicker won. He took his campaign staff to Washington. And I'll make an analogy. I've been at the sessions, and I've visited with a number of y'all tied in with high schools and career coaches, so I'll kind of make an analogy. When you go to you're a freshman in the house, and you have a staff that's really young like I was, it's kind of like being a junior high. You're kind of like that 7th or 8th grader trying to figure it out, and you really don't understand things yet. So you kind of look to the senior high, to the Senate, and Senator Cochran's office had been there forever and knew what they were doing. And their chief of staff and the leader of his office was Mark Keenum. So we were always, what would Mark do? Let's call Mark. We'd have a problem in North Mississippi, and we'd pull Mark in, and he'd help solve the problem. And so he was kind of like the cool senior that had it all figured out. But he wasn't too cool. He had time for us. And I've been thinking about it, and reflecting on that. He always had a word of encouragement, or he could help us solve a problem, or he always had interest in people. And so, Mark, you were always kind of like a career coach to me, and that was probably before that term was even there, and you probably didn't even know it. But you've done that for me and for a lot of people, hundreds of people, over 30 years, and you still are. We serve on a board together, Archives and History, and one of our assets are the 2 museums. And how many of y'all have been to the 2 museums in Jackson? Good. Look, we've worked it out. If y'all want to go today after the conference or tomorrow, just bring your badge, and you can get in for free. love for y'all to go. Please do that. And if your inbox is piled up because you've been at the conference this week and you can't go this week, go in the future. And we've got free passes. Just come see me this morning. We've got plenty of free passes. And also, I hope your high schools are going. Every student in Mississippi, we have a foundation that can cover the tab for students that go to the two museums. And so they need to go. We've got the most compelling history of any state in the country, and the love. And I was in high school and loved field trips. So go back, and hopefully your high schools are going, but if they aren't, call the two museums, call me, and we'll set y'all up. So want to make a plug for that, but let me get back to introducing Mark. He leaves Senator Cochran's office and has a position approved by the Senate at the Department of Agriculture. He's the Undersecretary for Agriculture. And then he became president of Mississippi State in 2009. So that was a homecoming for him. He was born in Starkville. So he came home, been president of the university since then, has been fantastic for Mississippi and really on a national stage and a world stage. He's one of the most innovative leaders in higher education, certainly one of the most innovative university presidents, so it's great to have him here. And that's his day job. You know, he's an avid sports fan and college football enthusiast. He played center at Northeast Community College, and so he's a lifelong fan. And at this time of year, I'm always excited in mid-August for the weather to break and get under 100 degrees. And the college football kickoff, there's no sports on TV. I'm ready for that, so that's top of mind. Well, you might know or you might not know that Mark he's served as president of the Southeastern Conference of the SEC and chairman of the, if I get the term right, I jotted it down, the College Football Playoff Board of Managers. So you know how they expanded to 8 games. Well, he's the chairman of that committee. So right here in Mississippi, we have somebody right at the chairmanship. So when you're watching the playoffs, tell your friends it kind of started, here in Mississippi. So he's a well-rounded person. But the thing that really defines him most is his Christian faith. He goes to Baptist Church in Starkville. And, of course, his wonderful family. I've mentioned Rhonda. He has triplets, 3 triplets. I've got 1, and I'm busy. But he has triplets that just started at Mississippi State, but he's not empty nest yet. He has another daughter, Tori. So he's defined by his faith and by his family, and I'm excited that he's here because he's got that thing that Ryan's been talking about. Do you make a difference to the people around you, to the person on your right and your left? And Mark embodies that. I've seen it. I've seen it for 30 years. And y'all have that. I've watched you this week. And I'm excited about that he can talk to us and what y'all are doing all over Mississippi and the ripple effect that you're having and it's going to have from this conference. It's a wonderful thing, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it. So let's welcome Dr. Mark Keenum. Thank you.
Oh, Spence, I've never had an introduction that nice. I was even impressed. My goodness. But thank you, Spence, and thank you all for allowing me to come and be with you this morning. I understand y'all have had very good meetings over the week, and I just think it's exciting to bring so many influential Mississippians, leaders from across the state, like you all, for this outstanding Accelerate Mississippi, this New Horizon strategic session to talk about how we can all work together for the betterment of our state. And Ryan, I was very impressed. I was listening to you on the radio earlier this week. He was on Super Talk, if any of you heard him. And you're a natural on the radio, I got to tell you. You really are. I mean, even I could understand almost everything you were talking about, so that's impressive. But I want to commend you for doing this, for having this session, and then giving me an opportunity to come and talk to you a little bit about, Mississippi State University, our state's largest university. And some of you know a little bit about Mississippi State and what we do and our role, and maybe know a little bit more about our football team or our baseball team, and you may like it when your favorite team beats our teams, okay? And that's okay. That's what makes Mississippi really special. You know, the rivalries and the competitions that we have in our sporting events and things like this. That's special. It's unique. Well, Mississippi State was founded in 1878 as Mississippi A&M College. And it was a military institution when it was first established. It was a land grant. It was modeled after the military academy at West Point. In fact, all of the young men who were students there in the early days, well, they were cadets, and they wore uniforms that were modeled after the same uniforms worn at West Point. And every day they would do their drills on our drill field, which we still call it that today, which is an iconic center of our campus. But that's how we got started. We got started with a charter of agricultural sciences, mechanical arts, or engineering, military science, and humanities. And that was the original charter for our college. Well, it's evolved a bit over the last 145 plus years to this dynamic, world-class, world-leading research institution. It's a land grant. Land grant has a special meaning. It's a meaning of service. That's what we're about, serving the entire state of Mississippi. That's what we do. We are a Carnegie I, very high research university. It's the highest designation a university can receive. That's a research university, and we are a powerhouse. Our faculty and staff and scientists, they generate over $300 million annually, and those numbers continue to go up and up each year. That's $300+ million that's generated and coming into our state. That amount of money, by the way, represents over half of all the research that's generated in the state of Mississippi. All the other universities, including our very prestigious research medical center combined, well, they add up to less than half. It just shows you how strong our institution is. And the fact that, yes, we're very focused in what we've started in our early days, agricultural sciences. We're one of the leading agricultural research institutions really in the world, but certainly in the nation. And we're focused on cutting edge farming, precision agriculture, focused on how we can feed the world. And we're not just focused in the state of Mississippi or even in our nation. We're working, we have Mississippi State people, boots on the ground in countries in the continent of Africa and all throughout Southeast Asia, working to help solve critical challenges for feeding people. And our global partner is the United Nations. We have multiple partnerships and working relationships with the UN, the Food and Agricultural Organization, and the World Food Program. We are one of the leading universities, leading partners that they have to address global hunger. And on our campus at Mississippi State, we are the world authority for fish health and aquaculture. It's headquartered in Starkville in our College of Veterinary Medicine. And I'm very proud of that. And when you think about it, in the world we live in today, we share this planet with about 7.5 billion other people. And unfortunately, in this world in 2023, we have nearly 1 billion of our global citizens are severely malnourished today. And we lose many millions of people every year, mostly children, simply because there's not enough food to put in their mouths. That's terrible. That's today. Well, in a wink of an eye, by the year 2050, when the students that are on our campus right now at Mississippi State, who we're training and preparing for their life and their future to be leaders of tomorrow, by the time they're not even at mid-career by 2050, our global population is projected to go from, 7.5 to about 10.5 billion people. That's how fast our world is growing. And I tell people to put that in perspective and think back to, well, when Adam and Eve were here, when God created humanity, all the years it took this world to populate to get to 7.5 billion today, and then in just a little over a quarter of a century, it's going to be 10.5. We're going to add 3 billion more people to our global dinner table, and we can't feed everybody adequately today. How are we going to do that? Well, the only way we can do it is through work at universities like Mississippi State, the innovative technology and the work we're doing, our many partners that we work with, the engagement and the seriousness. And not only have we got to feed 3+ billion people in just over a quarter of a century, but we've got to provide housing and clothing and education and health care and energy, all the things that humans need over this span of time. It's going really fast. So when we bring students on our campus, we want them to understand, yes, these are big challenges for their future, for their careers. Their world is going to look a lot different than it does now when they get to be, certainly when they get to be my age. Equip them with the best education that they can have, inspire them to want to go out and address these critical issues. We're also a leader in engineering, of course. We have one of the biggest engineering programs in the world. Our Bagley College is nationally and internationally ranked. Some of you may not realize this, but at Mississippi State University, we are the home to the National Center of Excellence in UAS, Unmanned Aerial Systems, or as I get corrected all the time, it's uncrewed aerial systems. But UASs, we have the largest academic fleet of UASs in the nation. We have UASs that's small as you can hold in your hand to big fixed-wing craft that have like a 2-ton payload, and every size in between. We are the National Research Center working hand in glove with FAA and Homeland Security. In fact, we do all the Homeland Security UAS testing for all the testing that they use for the Coast Guard, all the things they do with Border Patrol. We do all their testing work for UASs, Mississippi State University. And we are working with 29 other universities and over 100 industry partners. And we've got several manufacturers in the state of Mississippi that are manufacturing very high-tech UAS systems that are being sold around the world, but they're being built and manufactured right here in Mississippi. And those companies that are building these UASs, well, they were incubated on our campus. We spawned those companies that are out creating tremendous economic jobs and opportunities for our Mississippi citizens of these cutting-edge technologies that are going to be much and much more prevalent in the coming years in our lives and our society. We're leading that way. Of course, meteorology is another area we take great pride in being a national leader. We have the best meteorology program in the nation. In fact, regardless of where you travel in the country, and if you go to a hotel or wherever, or someone's home, and you turn on the evening news and there's a weather person on there telling you what the weather is in Chicago or New York or Los Angeles or Pelahatchie, the chances are, well, it's over a 1 in 3 chance that that person talking to you is a Mississippi State graduate. Over a third of all meteorologists, especially broadcast meteorologists in the nation, are graduates of Mississippi State University. We have the premier program in the nation. We also are doing extensive work in autonomous technology, driverless vehicles. We have the Center for Advanced Vehicular Systems on our campus, and it's doing remarkable work. We do a lot of work with European manufacturers. They come to Starkville, Mississippi to work on their autonomous technologies that they're implementing in some of the most sophisticated automobiles in the world. We're also doing the autonomous work for the Department of Defense. We are designing on our campus. We have a testing ground in our research park where we're doing extensive work on driverless military vehicles. Because when you think about it, you know, many of you have cars that are driverless. My vehicle, in fact, I have a Jeep. I can kind of sit back and it'll drive itself. Okay? Makes me a little uneasy at times, okay, but it'll do it. But it's got a grid. It's a different thing when you've got a military vehicle and it's out in a desert. There's no grid, or it's in a jungle. How can these vehicles drive themselves? Well, it takes artificial intelligence and AI sensors that have to be instant when they see something on the ground and recognize what that is as this vehicle is moving through a terrain. Instant processing. We're doing that. We're doing the artificial intelligence work as well, and those sensors are what we're building into these vehicles. We're doing all that right here in Mississippi, at Mississippi State University. It takes super fast computers to do a lot of the work that we do. Well, we're blessed. We have some of the fastest supercomputers on planet Earth on our campus in Starkville. We have our MacPatera high-performance supercomputing collaboratory, and it is slap full of supercomputers. In fact, Mississippi State University is ranked number 5 among all colleges and universities in high-performance supercomputing. We're 5th in the nation. The state of Mississippi, and you all need to know this, you've got the Supercomputing Center in Starkville. You've got the Engineer Research Center, ERDIC, in Vicksburg, Corps of Engineers. They have a supercomputing center there as well. And then the Stennis Space Center down on the coast. It has a supercomputing center there also. Some very fast supercomputers, some of the fastest in the world. All 3 of these computing centers, we're all 3 connected. And we work together on numerous initiatives. But because of Starkville, Mississippi State, ERDIC, Vicksburg, Stennis on the coast, the state of Mississippi is ranked number 4 in the nation in high-performance supercomputing capacity. Mississippi, your state, my state, we're 4th. California is the number 1 supercomputing state. Maryland is number 2. Texas, number 3. And I'm told we're just 1 supercomputer behind Texas for being tied with them for number 3, but we're 4. As I speak right now, because of the leadership of Governor Tate Reeves and our state legislature, we're building a new high-performance computing center right across the street from our current supercomputing center because we don't have room in our current facility to house more supercomputers. And we've got more supercomputers headed our way to expand our capacity even more. Now, I'm going to tell you, as a state, that is a tremendous resource for us to have, for all of you to have, for our ability to have the capacity to support industries and businesses that need these super fast machines for these jobs of the future. Artificial intelligence, as I mentioned, have to have this. We want those kind of jobs here in Mississippi. Not only do we have the capacity in supercomputing, but we have all kind of other tangible resources that make Mississippi attractive for these types of companies. Give you an example. The supercomputing center that we have on our campus It's one building. It uses a lot of electricity. If you've been to Mississippi State, you know we're a fairly big campus. We're pretty spread out. And we have 455 buildings on our campus. We're kind of like a little mini city there. That one supercomputing building consumes more electricity daily than all the rest of the buildings on our campus do every day. Just one building. We're building another one across the street that will be bigger and will house even more supercomputers. And it will consume even more electricity. And when we shared this with TVA, our energy provider, they said there's not enough energy on our grid to supply your building. So we had to work with them and provide some land, and they have built a substation on the north end of our campus just so they could have the power to supply this new one supercomputing center on our campus. Why is that important? Mississippi, well, we're blessed. We have an abundance of energy, reliable energy. That's special. And more importantly, our energy is affordable energy. When you go to California, which we've done and looked at some of their computing centers, and we learn, what they have to go through just to maintain electricity, because sometimes they have brownouts and even blackouts, pretty regular in California. But what they're paying per kilowatt hour is 4 and 5 times what we pay for here in the state of Mississippi. We have tremendous advantages for doing that kind of work in a better environment, and we're also producing cybersecurity. We have one of the best cybersecurity programs in the nation at Mississippi State. We're also producing computer scientists, computer engineers, and all types of other engineers that would much rather stay and work and live and raise a family here in Mississippi than have to move out to, Palo Alto, California, or San Francisco, California. These companies are recognizing that, and we're already starting to do work with companies in California in hopes of getting them to make some investments here in Mississippi. Because we believe if we can ever get that movement here, because of our workforce, our commitment of our people, the quality of the people that we produce with our programs, it will explode, and we will see these types of cutting-edge, job of the future type industries, making a beeline to the state of Mississippi. And that's what we're wanting to do. That's what we're dreaming about doing. I mentioned cybersecurity. That's a big issue also, and we do have one of the best cyber security programs in the country. We have partnered with the National Science Foundation for many years, and we just got another renewal. It's about every 4 or 5 years, and we just got our latest renewal with NSF's CyberCore. CyberCore provides tuition and pays for students through scholarships, pays their school to get a degree in computer science or cybersecurity, but make a commitment after you have received your free tuition to serve in the federal government and serve your government in cybersecurity. We have produced, I think, about 142 CyberCore graduates from Mississippi State who've gone into our federal government. But it's a phenomenal program, and that's why they're down in Mississippi recruiting our top talent to go work for our federal agencies. Most of those recruiting our students are federal agencies that have 3 initials. That's the caliber of the agencies that want Mississippi talent. We have the talent. We have the ability. And these young people want to get that experience because it strengthens them for going and working in the private sector as well. So these are things that we're doing that we're very proud of that not a lot of people really know about. And that's our fault. We don't do the best job in the world of telling all the things that we do. We just go do it. The people that interact with us and work with us, well, they know it and they appreciate it. But we are going to start trying to at least be better telling our story. Land grant. Y'all may not know this, but Mississippi State has an office in every single county in the state of Mississippi. There's a Mississippi State University office in every county, all 82 counties. We have 4 regional research and extension campuses in the state. Northeast and Nettleton and Stoneville in the Delta, Raymond here in central Mississippi, and Biloxi down on the coast. We have 3 academic campuses, of course, Starkville. We have beautiful campus in Meridian, Mississippi, academic campus. And we also have a campus presence down in Jackson County on the coast, where we are teaching engineering on the coast. We also have another very incredible facility just off of I-55, right there by the Nissan plant, right across the road from Nissan. If you're driving north on 55, and you probably never even notice it, but if you'll look to your left as you're going past Nissan's on your right, there's a big, beautiful building kind of sitting up on a hill. That's Mississippi State University. That's our Center for Advanced Vehicular Systems Extension Center. And we do a lot of training there. We bring in manufacturers and business leaders, industry leaders from all around the state, and we teach classes there on how to be as efficient as they can be in their industries. But we do more than that. The industrial engineers that are stationed there, well, they go out all over the state. They go into factories and work with leaders in those companies to help them be as efficient in their operations as they can be. That's what we do. We serve the state. That's our mission. And we take it very proudly in what we're called upon to do. We work with city governments. We have written a lot of federal grants for cities and county governments. In some of the small rural communities, we've helped administer those federal grants. We've helped them get the grant, and then we administer those grants on the ground. We work with the State Department of Education and helping to keep the curriculum in our schools all across the state as up to date as possible. Of course, we work with farmers and ranchers throughout the state and help them be as efficient as they can be. We work with landowners to help them maximize their returns on their timber and their wildlife and recreation. We do that, Mississippi State. We're all over the state. We're committed to working with citizens and communities from the Tennessee line all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. We are here to serve. We are here to help, to make a difference, just like all of you in this room. But of course, we also are about teaching students. That's a pretty high priority as well. And we're excited. This is an exciting time of year. School is starting. Students are back on campus, moving into the residence halls and doing fraternity and sorority recruitment and all this, and marching, getting band and football team is practicing. And it's just an exciting time on our campus right now. Students, they are the future. And I'm proud that this year we've got a record freshman class at Mississippi State. And we're looking for this class to do great things because, as Spence mentioned, 3 of the record freshmen are triplets, Katie Redd and Mary Phillips. So our children are helping to help make a record freshman class this year. So it's a little different for us, but we're making it work. We did a survey of our graduates a year ago. So the 2022 graduating class from Mississippi State. And we determined from that survey, we surveyed every graduate. 94% of our graduates of a year ago, within the first 6 months of graduation, were either employed or in graduate school. That's well above the national average. I was pleased to see that. But it was interesting that of those Mississippi State graduates who chose to go straight into the workplace, over half of our graduates went to work here in the state of Mississippi, the majority. And of those students who decided to go to graduate school, 74% of them stayed in Mississippi. Now, you keep this in mind. At Mississippi State, 2/3 of our students come from Mississippi. 2/3. Overwhelming majority of our student body are Mississippians. When a young person graduates high school in the state of Mississippi and decides to go to a 4-year institution, we're the number one choice. I love that. And I'm proud of that we are the number one choice of Mississippians. So it stands to reason that a young person who is of Mississippi, who's been educated in Mississippi, who graduates from a university here, would love to stay here, live, raise a family, and have a wonderful life. And that's what we want. And it's incumbent on all of us to help create those opportunities so that our own students, the best and the brightest that we produce as a society, will want to stay here in their home state. And not only that, I want to be such an attractive place that young people from all over the country want to come to Mississippi because this is where the action is. That's what we're working for. We have the tools, we have the resources, we have the commitment of people from all over the state. We have the tangibles, and I'm going to tell you, working together through partnerships, identifying needs and working to address solutions, we can get there. I'm very confident of that. I love the fact that, I'm very biased. I love my university. I'm a product of the university, but I love our students. And I love every year when this organization called Smart Asset comes out, and they do this nationally, and they look at all the universities in every state, and every year, it's without fail, they'll put the starting salaries for graduates of all the colleges and universities. And every year, Mississippi State graduates have the highest average starting salaries of any graduate of any other school in the state. That makes me proud. I hear this all the time from employers when they hire somebody from our university. First of all, they say, we know they're well educated in their field. But we also like Mississippi State graduates because, we can trust them. They have a good work ethic. And they get along well with their coworkers. These are values. In fact, those are our core values at Mississippi State: integrity, hard work, and respect. But go back to what I said earlier. The overwhelming majority of our students, they're from our society. They're from Mississippi. They're of this culture. And that's who Mississippians are. So it stands to reason that a young person who's come and gotten a great education and has had those values reinforced while they were in their university are going to have those kind of values that are so attractive in the workforce. We have a lot to offer, ladies and gentlemen, for industries that are thinking about maybe finding a new location or wanting to build a new location or wanting to expand an existing facility. We have a lot to offer. We also recognize that, we need more college graduates for our state. I think y'all may have even talked a little bit about this week. Educational attainment for the state of Mississippi. Adding to our workforce value. It's critical. How do you do that? Well, you produce more graduates. I want to see more four-year college graduates. In Mississippi, less than 25% of our citizens, of our adult citizens, have a four-year college degree. We're not the last in this nation. We're next to last. West Virginia has fewer college graduates than we do. Okay? Our per capita income, unfortunately, is the last in the country. So you do a correlation, and we've done this. We've looked at educational attainment for four-year degrees, and we've charted it. And we've looked at per capita income by state. It's almost a perfect correlation. As you increase the college education levels in a state, per capita income tracks with it. State of Maryland, for example, nearly 1/2 of their citizens in the state of Maryland have a four-year college degree. And consequently, they have one of the highest per capita incomes, nearly double that of the state of Mississippi. Listen, the more college graduates we produce raises the tide, lifts the boats for all citizens in a state. Producing more college graduates. Well, we're working, like I said, we're working hard. We're recruiting. We've got record numbers of students coming to our university. We're working hard. But we've got to also address critical needs. We saw a need that we did not think was being addressed. We went and met with leaders in the manufacturing world here in the state and talked to them about what do they need for their workers. Well, they need skilled, trained workers to come in and work in many of our manufacturing facilities. We need strong community colleges, which we're blessed to have the finest community college system in the world, right here in the state of Mississippi. But students can come, get that technical two-year associate's degree in a skill, a vocational skill, and go get a job. And that's what we want. What we hear from manufacturers is that that person is an outstanding employee, great worker, but that degree they have, they can't advance and take on more supervisory or more responsibilities in their company. They need more education. They need a four-year degree. Well, to get a four-year degree, you got to go back and start over again as a freshman. We created a degree called the Bachelor of Applied Science degree, BAS. We're in the third year of a BAS. And it's outstanding. I had to work really hard to get our accreditor, SACS, COC, the Association of Colleges and Schools, Commission on Colleges. It's a mouthful. But we worked with our accreditor to allow a community college associate of applied science technical degree graduate to be able to transfer all of those technical credits to Mississippi State University and apply those to a credit for a baccalaureate degree. It's a game changer for our state. So often we need young people to go get a skill. We need them to get a skill. It's the best of all worlds. They can get a skill, and they're not limited on their upward mobility. And they can do it online. They can come directly to campus, or they can do it online. And we've partnered with industries who work with us to even tailor-make a degree for their employees, and they're paying their tuition, and they're doing it online, but it gives them a baccalaureate degree that gives them an opportunity for advancement in their business, in their industry. This is something we're real excited about, and it's growing in demand. We now have over 30 different career fields that a student can choose to get a BAS in. And to give you an example, you can get a BAS in cybersecurity, operations management, public management, unmanned aerial systems, construction trade supervision. That's a really high demand BAS. Criminology, geosciences, business, advanced manufacturing technology. You can get a degree from Mississippi State, whereas just 2.5 years ago, this opportunity did not exist for you. It also will help you if you want to be your own business owner from an entrepreneurial standpoint to get the additional education and the credential you need to start your own company or your own business. Identifying a need, providing a solution, that's what we do. But we don't do it just by ourselves. We have to have partners. Healthcare is another critical area that we have a need in our state. We looked at a survey in 2022, and it said that in Mississippi we had 3,000 RN nursing jobs available in hospitals across the state that could not be filled. 3,000. And that's just in hospitals. What can we do to help address this dire shortage of nurses in our state? My commissioner, Dr. Al Rankins, when we were testifying before the House and the Senate appropriations back earlier this year, he made a comment talking about nursing. He'd gotten a question, and he stated that the IHL system school, universities that have nursing programs, last year had to turn away over 300 qualified nursing students. Over 300 young people wanted to be a nurse, but they were turned away because the IHL nursing schools didn't have room to accommodate them. And yet we've got a 3,000 plus nurse shortage. So there's a need. What is the solution? Well, in Meridian, we have a very robust healthcare community. We have 2 outstanding hospitals. We have a state mental hospital there. And we went to work with our community leaders in Meridian, foundation partners, the O'Reilly Foundation, if that name rings a bell, and went to them and said, we think we can help address this critical shortage of nurses and do it in a very unique way. So working with our Board of Trustees, working with our community partners there in Lauderdale County and Meridian, and the Riley Foundation, the Phil Hardin Foundation, we developed the only program like it in the state. It's called an Accelerated Masters of Nursing program. And it allows a person who has a degree, a bachelor's degree in something other than nursing, to come to our campus in Meridian and get into this accelerated program to earn their master's degree in nursing and then sit for their RN license. Unlike most master's degrees in nursing, you're already an RN when you get into the master's program. These are not RNs. When they come out after they complete this program, they will be newly minted registered nurses with a master's degree from Mississippi State University. Extremely excited about this new program. When we're up and fully running, we'll be producing over 70 brand new RN nurses every year to help meet our critical shortage in the state. And just to remind you, in Meridian, it's already the home to Mississippi's only public physician assistant program. And we just had our first graduating class this past May where we graduated 19 brand new physician assistants from our Meridian campus. Identify a need, work hard to develop a solution. That's what we're about. We also work, again, I could go on, and y'all tired of me going on and on. But I love talking to people like you. You're on the ground. You're thinking. You're seeing the needs, and you're trying to think about solutions to problems all across the communities where you serve. What are the resources that you can draw from? I want you to always think about Mississippi State. I promise you, we are here to serve you, to help you make a difference on the ground, to help grow our economy, make a difference in the lives of the people you're called on to serve. We work with Governor Reeves and Mississippi Development Authority to help put together packages to make our sites that are being presented to potential industries attractive. But a big part of that is, what is our workforce? What is the availability of workers? And well, some of you know about our National Strategic Planning and Analysis Research Center. Again, that's a mouthful. Otherwise known as NSPARC. NSPARC is here to serve, to help us. We work with communities, they do, agencies, obviously with the governor and MDA. What is the workforce? What is the training? What is the educational attainment in that area? Where can we draw from? Industries need to know this. Existing industries and companies need to know this. And that's what we're there to do. We're about service. Yes, great quality education, but we're about serving the state in every way we can. And it makes me proud to be able to wear my maroon and tell people, yes, I'm of Mississippi State, but I'm of Mississippi. This is my home, and I want to see this state be the best it can be. I want to create opportunities for my children when they graduate to have opportunities to stay here, to raise their families, and to have a great life in our beloved Mississippi. And I believe we will, and they will. And it's, again, working together, being partners, and making a difference. Well, y'all been very kind to let me come and do a little preaching to you this morning about the great things happening on my campus, but also in our state and the potential that we all have by working together. I want to thank you all for what you do, commend you. You're welcome at Mississippi State or anywhere that we have an office at any time. If you need me, I'm just a phone call away. If you've got something that you need Mississippi State to be working on, you don't know where to go, just call my office. I may not know the answer, but I promise you, I can get you the right people to address your issue. Well, y'all have a good rest of your conference. May God bless you all, and hail dear old state. Thank you.
I appreciate your time. We thank you so much, Dr. Keenum. Another round of applause for his insight and information. We are grateful to you. One of the things I did here, and I always, Dr. Keenum, just so you know, I always try to glean something from every speaker that we have to impart to some of our folks here in the audience. One thing I love about what you're doing at Mississippi State is the fact that you understand that economic development plus community development plus workforce development is how you really have a thriving and healthy community. And I think it doesn't take very long to visit Starkville or any of the campuses and the partnerships that they have with other institutions of learning in the state to recognize that they understand that. They have unbelievable projects of economic development that they attract and that they partner with. They pour themselves into their local education, certainly pour themselves into quality of life, and that has such an unbelievable impact on workforce development. I want to take one moment before we move on to our next portion of this morning's session to thank some additional sponsors that we have. And again, we could not have done this without our friends at MCEF, Mississippi Construction Education Foundation. We could not have done this without our friends at Nissan. We're grateful for what you have contributed and all that you do. Super Talk Mississippi, thank you for your partnership. And Dr. Keenum, just so you know, I do want to be a DJ someday so that I can bring you the coolest hits from the 80s, 90s, and today. I've always wanted to do that. Thank you. I appreciate you indulging me. And we also want to thank the W.K. Kellogg Foundation for their contribution. We're going to have a few minutes here where Garrett McInnes is going to give away a few door prizes before we move on to that next session this morning. So make sure to listen intently to hear your name to receive a fabulous prize brought to you by Mississippi Vendors.